Hello there and welcome to another video from Oscar Cooper. I hope you are all doing well, coping with the isolations, etc. We're going to be looking at Streets of Rage 4. This is a sequel to Streets of Rage 3, no brainer there, but some of you may not be aware of the heritage of that series. Massive. Streets of Rage 2 and 3 were the best side-scrolling beat-em-ups available on the Mega Drive, a whole bunch of other 16-bit systems, and this is 10 years later, so it's had a massive reskin and revamp, but the joy of this is they kept the principles intact. Actually up to 3-player co-op, and you have 4 characters to access at the beginning, and then we're introduced to more characters as you play through the game. In actual fact, you get an unlockable character mid-game, which is really cool. The movesets for each character are pretty normal, and you have a triangular special which has different outcomes for different characters, but there's no massive difference. But some of them are blatantly quicker. The female characters are blatantly quicker and they have a lot flashier special. There's no block. There's no block and there's no real run button. Some of the characters have sort of dash or get out of the way moves which do help, but the majority of the characters are quite bulky and static. But it's really cool because you can interrupt, and your special triangular move will actually grant you a few frames of immunity, so that can work in your favor. But there's so much stuff going on and it runs so well, and you can do a big special on a 2-button move. Difficulty wise, it's actually nice and harsh. Traditionally this game hasn't been the easiest of games, but it has offered extra hard modes, and I suppose the medium wasn't completely impossible. I remember completing Streets of Rage 3 on rental for some reason. I think I gave it a massive playthrough as a kid and just got the whole way through it. It was a joy, and this is a joy, and they haven't ruined it. And I love the idea of being able to swap in and out characters between the stages. You've got to be noticing how well animated everything is and how individually characterized a lot of your enemies are, with the way they're standing, the way they introduce their moves, and there's a lot of telegraphed moves that come through the characters that are wearing the coloured coat. So they'll come sliding in, but they'll do a little announcement, so you have to be looking out. You gradually learn what everyone's going to do to you. There's overhead throws and slams that push the other enemies over, and you can also grapple someone and then get the other player to come in and just punch the crap out of them. It's got some 90s aesthetics as well that are going crazy, especially with, I think, the soundtrack and a lot of the attire that people are wearing. It loves the odd mid-level boss fight as well, and they're quite entertaining. What is also entertaining is this triangle move. Takes a bit of your health away. It guarantees massive damage on the enemy. Takes a bit of your health away, which appears as like a green bit. Then you have to deal damage, Bloodborne, to get that health back. I love that idea because you have to make sure you follow up with some damage. And there's also quite an aggressive system in play here. If you're looking to block or be immune, then you need to be doing your special all the time to get those invincibility windows, but that means that you need to be delivering sort of medium level damage in order to get that green bar back up. It's a great loop. It works really well. You can potentially knock each other over if you do a bigger move or throw sort of in the wrong direction. There can be a knockback. It doesn't cause any health, but you need to have some communication here. It's nice. It's not just a button bash of this game, although a lot of the predecessors sometimes were billed as that. They were really actually quite detailed, level designed and enemy designed high-class arcade games, especially 3 and 2. They were massive hitters, and this is the best of both of them for me, and I'm so happy with it. I haven't tried it 3-player yet, but think about it. It was in February we had Darksiders, which was a huge AAA ARPG that sported split screen for 2-player couch co-op on console, and now we've got this, which is an amazing total remake and remaster of the Streets of Rage game model put into a beautiful modern sort of capsule for us. It's absolutely awesome. As I was talking about earlier, there is unlockable characters, and this does do a lot of fan service for people who were big fans of the original, right down to an 8-bit version of some of the original characters, right? But not just an 8-bit version, their whole attack pattern had not changed. And that was, Jim Sterling was talking about this the other day, that's the genius of this, is that you can lift a character from the first game and plonk it down in here, and it's completely at home with all of the mechanics, because that's how little they've buggered about with an almost perfect beat-em-up game. This section just goes full 2D. Reminds me of the corridor scene in Old Boy. I love the idea of the fact that you can't see the feet, and you're really pushed, and you've just got to keep going forward. And there's also quite a healthy combo system. There's loads of detailed stuff in not taking hits and queuing up hits. You get rewarded for some extra lives and stuff for doing really well. And that is what the pickups are when it comes to the stars. You can see the stars up on the top right. Cherry's got 1. That's the double move that spawns that big, flashy, almost finisher style move. Is there anything I would complain about with this game? It would only be that it's slightly too difficult for people who aren't familiar with the genre. So it will take them a little while to get their head around how everything is working. For people who know what they're doing and have played the previous games, you're going to have the best time ever. I'm actually playing it on my arcade stick as well, so I've got the buttons to literally bash as hard as I can. It really does take me back, but also makes me think, wow, isn't it cool that we can still have remakes and remasters that offer something new on a beautifully traditional game format. Ladies and gentlemen, Streets of Rage 4 is a complete no-brain purchase. Quick outro just to give you an idea of my schedule for this month, because I've got 2 big videos in the background. One of them is top 5 2-player ARPGs that aren't Diablo 4, and I'm doing a new sci-fi list. 2 years ago I put out a sci-fi list. It's hit 10,000 views. I want to follow it up because we've had some very cool new stuff. So they'll be coming out pretty shortly. As always, it is!